We're here with Dusty US regular favorite of Ryan Friend, the editor-in-chief, DarfMike.
Yeah, I did live with him for a year, you know. Yeah. If I wasn't a favorite after living him for a year, actually, that may have made me less of a favorite.
And you feel free to tell us about what it's like when you make a hot take and you see him tweet that hot take.
So it would be like making dinner or something, and I'd just say a throwaway joke, and then I'd see a tweet an hour later with 300 likes or whatever. Yeah, no, I was apparently Ryan's ghostwriter for like a year, just farming my actual statements for tweets.
It's time to add that to the Twitter bio. But yeah, your first or more experience like being here, like you mentioned to me earlier that you had done IEM Fall. Tell me what it's like being here in person and getting the chance to do this now.
It's awesome. I mean, IEM Fall was incredible because it was in the studio in Cato. But that was just the town isolated, right? Players were still online at that point. And most of the events that I've done this year, we've been in a separate location from the players. So this is really the first higher end tournament that I've done with players on location, with us in the same location, everybody in the same hotel since like Global Challenge 2019. And it's such a better feeling when everybody's here. You feel the energy. You can talk to players. You can go off after a match and ask them how they were feeling. You could be in the hotel asking a coach what they expect the veto to be. And they'll tell you most of the time. You get so much information. It's just so much more valuable. It enriches the broadcast. It makes everybody feel like they're part of it a little bit more. And I think it just really helps everything. Certainly helps my energy levels.
With the way that things have been going recently, like say with Challenger and like this RMR, for example, like a lot of new casters and new analysts are getting a chance to really kind of like spread their wings on like broadcasts that are much more professional standard than what they'd be used to. Tell me what that's like for you, seeing like these people coming up and like yourself, like getting a lot more exposure now at this point.
Yeah, no, I've definitely moved up the rungs a little bit. Hope I can stay here, please. No, I mean, it's awesome. I think, a rising tide raises all ships, right? The more people that get involved, the higher the standard is on broadcast. You can't, be complacent. You got to keep working and improving your craft. And that's super cool to see, seeing talented new faces come up who, came up during COVID, just casting in the bedroom and that kind of thing, getting a chance to actually either attend events or be part of these bigger broadcasts. I mean, I remember the first time that I was on like an S-tier broadcast remote. I was doing the Katowice 2 years ago, I guess it would have been. Yeah, where we did the online, and I had the backdrop with the logo on, and it's an incredible moment. It's a real feeling of accomplishment to be involved in one of these productions where you've watched it for years, and then suddenly you're part of the story, you're part of the brand, you're part of the narrative, and you help to tell that story. And I think it's a really cool moment. Certainly, I've really enjoyed the opportunities I've gotten, especially now that I'm here, in studio, in person, with the players, with everybody. But for everyone who's getting involved, all the new names who are coming up through the scene, the new talent that's developing, it's really cool to see them mature and grow, show to show.
You've gotten the chance to cast quite a few games here at the RMR. Is there anyone that sticks out in your mind that you think, wow, I did a really good job on that?
On the cast so far, it's early enough that I don't know that I've had that moment. We just did the Liquid Complexity game. That was a really cool game to cast. It was a banger. I hope I did a good cast on that one. Haven't really thought about it or reviewed it too much since that just happened. But I think the really hype moments are going to come at the tail end where we're like whittling it down to one or two teams. I'm hoping that's really where the energy is going to explode. It's mostly been best of ones so far, and yeah, best of ones can be fun, but there's so much more narrative in a best of three that as we get more into the meat of that, I'm hoping those are really going to be the fun ones.
We have 5 NA teams here, really, that have a lot of North Americans on it. The 3 that are on like the higher end, say like EG, Complexity, and Liquid, what do you kind of think about the way that they've been playing here so far?
Holy shit, hell yeah. I'm ecstatic. I'm so happy, and I'm not talking about the Swedish team. It's been phenomenal. I mean, Liquid look exactly like we expected them to. They are the prince that was promised. They're looking phenomenal so far. I'm really impressed with Complexity's level. I don't know that it was as sustained against Liquid, but I'm feeling very confident, knock on whatever wood is closest, that they're going to be able to make it through. EG has been a revelation. 3-0, I did not expect at all. I'm so pleasantly surprised. I know a lot of those guys, I've been a huge fan of what they've been doing with the Blueprint project, so I think it's incredible to see the organization rewarded with a major spot. And I'll be honest, I doubted the Nealon move. I didn't really get that one, but it turns out I'm an idiot, and they're doing great. So really happy that's working out. All the way down, I'm really impressed with what EG is doing. I think this is finally, hopefully, sort of the development of what they've been trying to do over the course of the last year really coming to fruition and looking like what they imagined when they started to put this whole project together. So I think that's awesome. ATK's impressed the hell out of me. They're a team that I've always known had that ability, right? Even talking about this, I was talking to people saying there's definitely a scenario where they make it through. It's just that I've seen ATK be so hot and cold at various points that it just depends on which one of their forms shows up. So I've been really pleased with them. I mean, I think all the way down, it's mind-blowing how successful the American teams have been. Everyone was talking about this like it was just going to be the Brazilian RMR. This is going to be the Brazilian Road to Rio. They're just going to be all in. And now we're in a situation where, like, is a Brazilian team going to make it through? They're not going to be legends. I'll tell you that much. It's kind of wild. It would actually genuinely not be great if Brazilian teams didn't make it through to Rio. But from an NA perspective, you got to be thrilled.
Like I said, there was those 3 higher end teams that we know have had the tier 1 experience. What about the teams like, say, you mentioned ATK and there's Nouns as well, getting this chance to really kind of like play against a much better competition in like a much better setting than what they might be used to with the ECL level, say?
I mean, Nouns, I'm very impressed by. I think that I really like the way that team is developing. They're a team that's been around in one form or another for a long time, but wasn't, shall we say, the most professional of collectives, and they've really changed that. I think Semphis has been a huge asset for them. I had my doubts about some of the construction, but I think it's working out. There's a lot more ground for them to cover. They're definitely not in a form to be competitive at this level just yet, and I don't think really any of us had that expectation. I'm very pleased that they're getting this opportunity, though, right? This is the first real international competition. This is the first travel for most of those players at this kind of level. And I'm thrilled that Nouns came in to support them and make it possible for them to have a boot camp, for them to have more time in Europe. We've seen with so many different teams, any time competing at this level, scrimming against this level of teams, having the opportunity to play this level of professional event, it just tends to motivate and help elevate players. And so I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do with this knowledge. I mean, they still got a chance to make it, but it's going to be a hard road. And I'm excited to see how they'll take this knowledge and this experience and grow going forward, too.
I also have to get your thoughts on your boys 9Z.
Sure.
Your adopted NA boys. Give me your thoughts on them. They went 2-0 and then they fell to EG today.
I do love 9Z. I think that the thing about 9Z that always impresses me with that team is, on paper, looking at a matchup, I usually don't think they're going to win it. If I'm using my logical brain, I'm looking at it, I'm going, they probably shouldn't, but they have a certain special something. And I think a lot of it has to be attributed to Zach, because they've always had it through different iterations of the roster, and they've kept the core together, but there have been some changes over the last year. And really, since we watched them at the beginning of the year in that Challenger event where they made a run into top 4, very unexpectedly into the playoffs, I've been so impressed with this 9Z roster through the different iterations. They're really gutsy. They've got a lot of spirit. You can't help but cheer for them when they're making their way through. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a joke sometimes, but I always wind up rooting for them, even if I don't expect to coming into an event, because they're so much fun to watch. They're such an exciting team. So yeah, I'm a 9Z stan. I'll be thrilled for them if they make it out.
You're wearing the Mustache Masters t-shirt. I think it would be criminal not to ask about it. Upcoming event. What can you tell us about it so far?
I mean, we're coming back for our 4th season, our 4th iteration. Very excited about that. So happy that we're continuing to do this. We've managed to raise over $60,000 over the last 3 years for November. If you're not familiar with the Mustache Masters, it's a charity tournament that we do every November with teams coming in, entering, paying an entry fee, and then we do a broadcast over the course of 2 or 3 days to raise funds. We have some crazy stretch goals. We've shaved my head now 3 years in a row. I shaved my eyebrows once. We've done some wild stuff. And it's something that I'm really excited to be a part of. It's something that I'm really happy to be building on each year. We try and be a little bigger, a little better, get more community engagement. And it's something that's really important, right? I mean, mental health is a huge issue in society at large, but it's such a huge issue in the gaming space. So much of our viewer base, our fan base, our audience who we interact with are young men who are frequently to some degree isolated, especially if they're playing a lot of games and not necessarily socializing. I'm not saying it's necessary, just that tends to attract, people who might have difficulties and struggles within their own lives. And part of what we want to communicate is that there are options. There's healthier ways to, handle emotions and things like that. And it's something that's very important to us. And the mission of Movember is hugely important to us. So the fact that we've been able to do so much, that the community has rallied behind us, because really everyone who's involved in it, every player who plays, everyone who donates, every spectator who watches, everyone who tweets dumb memes about Ryan in a clown costume, it all goes towards building that up. And so I like to think everybody who does that is part of what we're doing, part of our mission. So thrilled to be doing it again. We've got a very funky theme going on. There should be a new trailer coming out soon. We've announced that it's, Mustache Masters Season 4, Mustache Forever. We're leaning into the movie themes here, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it and hopefully raise more money than we ever have for what is a great cause.
No, like you said, that's going to be an amazing cause, and I hope everyone that's in the NA scene.
Dates. 18th to 20th of November. Pre-show on the 18th, tournament 19th, 20th. If you want to play, sign up. We do open sign-ups. Sign up. It is a fee, but your fee is 100% a donation to the cause. We collect no proceeds, no profits. Everything is 100% going to Movember. So sign up for the Mustache Masters. We're going to have a lot of fun this year.
Right now, we're here in Sweden, RMR. The games are going on with the O2 games at the moment. Just some closing thoughts. We have two teams that have already qualified. We have EG and we have Liquid, who are going to be playing that 3-0 game for Legends. Those last 4 spots, what we have available, who are your predictions?
Who are my predictions? I got to remember who I actually predicted at the beginning of the event at this point. I mean, I think Complexity's making it through. I still really hope Imperial makes it through, just for the storylines. 0-0 Nation as well. Imperial's got the 1-2 road. That's going to be a tough one. I think that Complexity, Liquid, EG, that's 3 of my spots. So if we're saying Imperial 0-0, because I know they were my predictions, even though it's going to be a toughie at this point. Man, I that last spot, I think 9-0 ATK is a good shout. A good shout. Yeah, I think they're a good shout for it. And I think realistically we could wind up with a situation where we only have one Brazilian team qualifying, which I am an NA booster through and through, but it would kind of stink for the Rio Major, right? We need to have some more Brazilian representation, hopefully, outside of just NQZ on 9Z. No offense, NQZ. He's dope. Really sick. But yeah, maybe a few more Brazilians on the home crowd. Yeah.
Well, that's it from us here. Thanks a million, Mike. It's always a pleasure.